His name was Patrick Osborne. He was 16 when we first started going out, and I was 17, so I was the older lady. Yeah, I always go out with the younger ones. They're impressionable. No, yeah, it was a 3-year relationship, so it's quite a bit of time. So yeah, and especially like during the period of year 12ness and then onwards is pretty big time in someone's life. In the beginning, it was really good. I was in a place where I knew myself and really enjoyed my life already. It wasn't like I was feeling any void. No, I was pretty like, knew what I wanted to do, knew where I was going, and things took off from there. Like a pretty flower growing, only to become a thorn. It just broke up about a month and a half ago. It was quite a long process of ending. Well, basically, it's about 2 months ago now. There was a whole topic of like what he was going to become because he was kind of in this stupid dead end job where nothing was happening, pickpacking. He didn't feel like he was good at anything. He didn't enjoy life basically in this kind of shit job. He's like, I'm 19 and I want to like do something with my life. You've got uni, blah, blah, blah. What do I have? I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to play music, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, he'd keep going on with that kind of idea and save up and buy a new drum kit. So he bought a new drum kit, and after a while I was kind of like, I'm still kind of unsatisfied. I was thinking, what are my options? And he's kind of like pulling out all these kind of crappy options that I can't even remember that's how bad they were, like make-believe options. And then all of a sudden he's like, and the last one was kind of like joining the army. And I was like, yeah, no. Because we've had this talk before, because when he was 16, he was always like, the reason why I dropped out of school is to join the army. And I kind of like coaxed him out of that one. Like I was like, no, listen to Rage Against the Machine, you don't want to be in the army, there's so much to offer besides like killing people and doing things that you'll end up hating about yourself. And he was kind of like, yeah, and for that short time he believed he didn't want to do it. But that kind of thing came around again where he was like, no, I think I want to really do it. And I was just thinking, shit, like I'm not a soldier's wife. I was like, I don't know if I could really go through that kind of mental torture of like separation for like months on end. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, I want to join the army. He started looking into it. I'm thinking, this is just like one of his moments that he has, like, oh yeah, I want to be an astronaut, like, no, it's not really gonna happen. He ended up like, signing up, and I was like, okay, so this is actually fucking happening. And at first I was like, look, it's pretty much ended. If you enter it, it's pretty much over. And he's like, I thought you would support me, and I've supported you all this time. And I said, okay, true, maybe I wouldn't automatically just end it. He found out that he was going to leave on like September or something. And that's when it kind of hit me, where I was like, okay, so he's actually leaving for 3 months to do basic training and then go off and like be an actual army man full time. And so I was like, wow, maybe once he leaves I can just be by myself and see how that goes. But even before that, it was kind of like, because it was his last days as a free man from being a soldier, he wanted to go out and party and whatever, as you'd want to. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, like, do what you gotta do. But in that process, he'd kind of just keep pushing me away to be free. And that's not cool either, because you're leaving everyone behind, not just your friends, like me as well, which is a pretty big deal. And I think he tried to avoid that fact and think he was a bigger man. One night I got the shits because, like, he just have whole weekends of going boozing with his friends and shit. And so I decided to call him and be like, hey, like, when is it going to be like my turn to say goodbye to you, kind of thing. And you know, he kind of gave me this speech like, oh, if I knew where my life was going, I would have made these decisions, because we'd broken up prior to this before and gotten back together. And I kind of was saying, don't give me that shit. Like, let's be honest here. And yeah, so we ended up just fighting that night, and some disgusting words were passed. Like, you know, it wasn't very nice. And I just decided, you know, I give up. I'm not going to try anymore, because if you do care for someone, you would never ever speak to them like that. And it was kind of a thing that was brewing over these like last few months, where it was just getting so hard. He was so upset in his life that he'd take it out on me, because I was the only one trying to better it, trying to make it better and listening to him. So he'd end up just verbally abusing me for it. And I just thought, why am I sitting around taking this when I deserve so much more? I did. I just decided, okay, no, I didn't even say goodbye. Just kind of left it at that. Just hung up.